Trusted DM Box is the first physical cybersecurity appliance with true digital air gap that segments the IT network and the OT network, or really the untrusted network and the trusted network from cybersecurity attacks that come from the adversaries.
Hi, I'm Steve Plum, Editor-in-Chief of SME Media, here today at CES 2026 in Las Vegas with Leo Cruz, Senior Director of Aura Technologies Trusted DM. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having us.
So Aura specializes in cybersecurity.
They do, yes. Yeah, Aura has been a DoD contractor, think tank, incubator for a lot of different types of technologies that are benefiting humanity and the DoD.
So cybersecurity obviously has been an ongoing issue for manufacturers for a long time, especially as new technologies are introduced and everything's connected. Opens up more points of entry for attackers.
Unfortunately, yes.
Yes. So how widespread is our cyber attacks right now?
Completely spread across the board. Nation states know that unfortunately, they at times have the upper hand just because they're well funded, right? And they can work around the clock. And unfortunately, the solutions that are in place today, they do a lot, but there's only so much that they can do. As we see in the news every day, there's different types of breaches that every sector is facing and deal with, and it tells us there's something more that's needed.
So, DoD, I imagine, the core Defense Department is fairly well protected.
Very well,
and
yes.
Obviously the prime contractors that have a lot of resources and have been doing this for a long time, but it goes up and down the supply chain.
Correct.
How vulnerable are some of the lower tier companies?
That's it's a risk-based game. I would say that everyone is really vulnerable. It's all about like what the weakest link is in the chain, right? And the adversaries, they work relentlessly to try to exploit that weakest link. But the smaller organizations are the ones that face the biggest risk, just because they could be underfunded. And again, they just may not have the awareness as well of everything that they potentially face.
The Trusted DM was launched last year in 2025?
Just about, yes.
Yeah.
Just about a year ago.
So tell me about it.
So the Trusted DM Box is the first physical cybersecurity appliance with true digital air gap that segments the IT network and the OT network, or really the untrusted network and the trusted network from cybersecurity attacks that come from the adversaries. And it doesn't matter where.
Yeah, the air gap is between IT and OT, or?
That's correct, yes. Okay. Yeah, that's the proprietary technology creates that isolation barrier and quarantines the protected network, the trusted network, the most critical area from the compromised network, to ensure you have that assurance that your business can continue, data is secure and safe.
And before that, you had to do each one separately, or just?
The different segmentation, micro-segmentation was handled a little bit differently. At times, it's very complex and legacy systems. Sometimes there's nothing in place. Therefore, the attack surface is just everywhere, right? And you have your traditional firewalls, you have your routers, your switches, you have software-based security solutions like email and endpoint. They do their part, but again, going back to what we see in the news, they're just not enough, right? And that's one of the reasons why we brought this to market.
So obviously, it's a moving target. You mentioned there's new types of breaches every day.
Yes.
How difficult is it to thwart that?
That's a very good question. It all comes down to the capabilities of the teams that are protecting the environment and the infrastructure, right? Sometimes, they rely on the software, the hardware, the technology, the talent. But again, it all depends on the capability, the awareness, right? Working with, even local FBI to find out what is going on in that sector of the industry, whether it's oil and gas, critical infrastructure, medical, aviation. The more you know, the better you can protect yourself.
So what would you recommend for a manufacturer to come up to speed on the challenges and the threats that are out there?
I would say one of the biggest things is to build an information sharing center with other manufacturing entities in the same industry, right? Find out who's already been impacted, what did they do, right? And also, again, work with local law enforcement like the FBI, who has a lot of threat intelligence that can tell them, like, hey, listen, like, this is what the adversaries are doing in your sector. More importantly, you potentially could have already been profiled. Here's what you should do going forward.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for joining us today.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having us.